Something I thought of earlier is that, I would have been the typical person to take my life and kill myself earlier in my lifetime. I would have been that typical person who'd say, fuck this, this is too much, I'm far more different to the majority of people out there. And now as I'm here in my life this time, and having met many XXY people and talked to a lot of XXY people who are essentially supposed to be my sorts of people, I find that they're not my sorts of people either. And at the end of the day, I am on this planet alone. I've got my brothers, I've got my family, let's put it this way. But as the other distant relations, or becoming more distant relations, uncles and aunts and stuff, as they grow older and as I grow older, there isn't that bond anymore. So I'm really essentially here on my own. I do have support from a lot of people, but the reality of this particular world society that we're living in is I find it really sick society. You're not allowed to whinge, they say. You're not allowed to have self-pity, they say. You're supposed to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, they say. And if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, they say, then you are not fit for this society, they say. And I could write many an essay on that. I am a person that definitely could have and would have taken my own life, as in suicide. Definitely I would have. I didn't, because I thought, no, there's got to be something more to this in life, and I know there is. But I'll tell you this, off testosterone, hormonally imbalanced, I find it really difficult to keep positive. Find it really difficult to trust in myself, which is the ultimate thing that I've been building on all my 12 years or whatever of real self-development. I went to many psychologists and neurologists and psychiatrists and counsellors and healers and kinesiology therapists and acupuncture and healings and bone setters, all sorts of types of people. And I am going to put everybody else down in the next sentence. Yeah, not everybody else, but a lot of people. So many of you go to doctors. You only just go to your fucking doctor, and your doctor hasn't a clue most of the time. You end up taking drugs, pills, whatever. So I'm not into that field. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that too much. I want to really talk about the fact that I am a different species in general, I think. What I say to people, they don't believe. I mean, just to give you a wacky example, many people have said to me through my life, so don't judge me now, please. But a lot of people have said to me, and I mean, at least 100 people have said to me that I looked like Jesus. I thought that was very funny. Yes, I said that. Looked like Jesus. Look like Jesus. They've said that. And a lot of people, 60 out of the 100 people have said that you're like Jesus, because you're so forgiving, and you let everybody in, and you don't push anybody out, and you give your last bit of money, you give your last bit of food, you give your apartment for free for no rent, even though you've no money, blah blah blah, la la la. You walk on water, also, just on the side point there, is that a lot of people don't understand or don't accept that I am an intersex, because they don't see that. And and they are not convinced enough of my middle sexness. Probably because this last year of being on YouTube, I look like a male, I act like a male, I talk like a male, blah 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 blah. It hasn't always been like this. I mean, are you going to treat the intergender people in the future, 40 or 50 years down the road, are you going to treat them like you treat me? Like, what are you talking about? You don't know what it's like to walk into a woman's bathroom. Do you know what I mean? When these intergender people that were men and now are women, sorry, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, then you should ask. Then you should say, what the fuck do you mean? But nobody really takes the time out to ask questions. We all just go around getting offended and then battering the shit out of each other for offending them. You know, people are generally not out to offend. People are out to express their opinion. There's many thoughts I could talk about here. It end up in whatever. See, I don't know how it's going to end up. I'm happy to see on XXY Talk though that I mean, I'm happy in a horrible way, because I'm happy that, you know, people are complaining that there isn't a lot of support on there anymore. And the reason that makes me happy is because I think that's the fact of the matter at the moment anyway. And maybe for the last year, who knows? I mean, I've been rejected by my XXY community. Now, I couldn't call all of them part of XXY Talk, but I've been rejected by some of them, and therefore put in a bad light by those people who rejected me. Therefore, I'd say most of the XXY community, if I ever meet them, will think the first thing best to do is beat the shit out of me, hit me in the face, be violent, whatever, you know. Also, I thought earlier today is, what if an intergender person, like, let's say a female that's changed into a male, so what do they call that, a trans male, trans man, stupid fucking names actually, but there you go. I'm not against you at all, intergender people, I'm actually with you, but I just do have controversial points that do go against some of your main topics of conversation sometimes, because I'm a believer in people. I'm a believer that we should be people, and another XXY got me wrong as well, thinking that I was saying XY is female, or XY is male and XX is female. I just say that so that the general normal bullshit population out there can understand what the fuck I'm trying to say, you know. Because if I, you know, they need to understand it from a scientific point that they learn in school first, and if they can understand me on that, then I'll tell them that I'm XXY for a start, and that you know, XXY females exist as well, but they're not documented. Really, you don't really hear about that. No doctor ever told me that. Oh, you're XXY, Gavin. By the way, there's females who are XXY as well. They never told me that. But so I'm just saying that I'm with all sorts of people in spirit. But I obviously need to discuss what's on my brain, and I'm a very accepting person to all people, and I like to work through problems, and I have time for that. And I suppose that's it. I hope that people will have time for me on the issues that I will be bringing up most certainly in the future, because I do plan on putting my posts up from XXY Talk in video form, because if they really thought that I was doing confusing written posts, then I want to at least make confusing videos on those posts, because I think video is better than blog. So I'm gonna go the whole hog. Don't get too sharp.